I was a full-blown drug addict, heroin junkie, alcoholic, all the above. I didn't care anymore. I didn't care whether I lived or died. I was on pretty much, with the types of drugs and alcohol I was using, I was pretty much on a daily suicide mission. Just a really sad place to be for a human. Grew up, my dad was a trainer here in Kentucky. He trained for 22 years, primarily in Louisville, all over Kentucky and down in Florida in the winters. My mom was an exercise rider for him, even after having me, until she got pregnant with my twin brother and sister. Then she stopped and became a full-time stay-at-home mom. Personal issues came into play 12, 14 years ago, kind of when I graduated high school. I say personal issues. I was a full-blown drug addict, heroin junkie, alcoholic, all the above, and was able to maintain jobs on the racetrack throughout, but it got to a point where I was so physically dependent on it that I wasn't any use to anybody, so I had to get away from it for a while. I went to treatment in 2019, a place here in downtown Lexington, and all the guys in the house, we all had to get jobs, just like anyone, to pay for rent. It was a requirement of the sober living I was in, and I went and started working at Wendy's, which at the time was really all I could muster up in life.
The one thing that stuck out for me and why we stuck with Will is he had a sincere love for the horse. He just really genuinely loves horses.
I galloped horses for Wesley Ward. It got to a point he was the only guy that would hire me. I'd call 10 times a month and not show up once about coming to work for him. He'd always tell me, just come on tomorrow morning, come on, show up.
I really truly believe that the horses are the #1 reason why he pulled himself together and got himself out of that dark period in his life. Because he, if you see him around the barn, no matter how he came into the barn that day, I mean, you could see a genuine love for the animal.
I'd come up with what at the time seemed like a harebrained idea to buy a bunch of yearlings to run in these races they ride in Kentucky with massive purse. They ride for horses that were purchased for a lower bargain level price of $45,000 or less. So I thought, well, instead of the 2-year-old sales where it's just so tough to make it, there's so many hoops you have to jump through, and it's so much to ask of these horses, why not race them? They write these races all year. We'll just hone in on certain races that the ones we have are ready for, and we'll try and go out there and compete, run first, second, or third, take the purse money, and then sell them. We didn't make any money, but what it did was it got our name out there. And I was training them. I started with a guy that's my now assistant, Tyler Maxwell. He was slumming it kind of the same way I was here in Bowling Green. And together, these just kind of, at the time, were mended broken souls, just kind of got together, leaned on each other, hooked arms, and trudged through it.
She runs on Friday in the Modesty Grade 3 at Churchill.
My whole recovery this far, sobriety, has been based around horses, Will he's like a brother to me. He's a brother first, and then he's my boss. And he's a leader amongst leaders. And I would have never worked for him and started riding for him unless I trusted him. And I really trust Will and trust his process, and his love for these horses is genuine. And it hasn't faded since.
Not all, but most, every guy that works with me is in recovery. Went through some kind of program similar than I did, and most had a desire to learn a little bit more, had heard about the racetrack, wanted to come check it out, see what it was like, and then the racetrack, the beautiful thing about it, once they come, they never leave. We had a few guys start for us who all just a few short months, years ago, just hopeless junkies running around the state of Kentucky. And now we're able to, as a team, unite together and run this business. I don't know anything else and wouldn't want to know anything else, honestly. I think it's a lifestyle, Like you got the old cliche adage, if you love your job, you never have to go to work. It is cliche, but it made sense to me from an early age. That really resonated with me because I've always loved this, and you know, like I said, just I wouldn't do anything else.